Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate everybody showing up. We're just going to be kicking things off here in a little bit. I'm excited to show everybody what we got going on today. Excited to hopefully show you something that you maybe didn't know before and to answer questions. Remember, any questions are welcome in the chat. What's up? I appreciate the love and the support. And as I said earlier, if you haven't followed this channel, go ahead and hit that button for me. That way we can help reach some of our goals here. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's get it. So welcome officially. What's up, Doug? Good to see you again. Yeah, welcome everybody. I am excited for today. I'm excited for every day, but specifically today, I got a really fun project to show everybody. This is a track by a couple really talented producers from New York City, from NYC. They go by the moniker DELUXXE. Let me just give them a quick shout here while you see my Ableton session. Here we go. So yeah, that's them on Spotify. Check them out. They got a couple heaters already on there. But yeah, just super talented. Got I'm gonna mispronounce Adam's last name. I'm pretty sure it's Adam Palin. And then we have Amir Salem, and they rhyme, which is the best of both worlds, right? So yeah, Adam and Amir, super talented. Hats off to them. Anything they do is just absolute fire. So I'm excited for everybody to hear this project. DELUXXE is one of their many projects, actually, and I know that this song in particular is being reworked for the purpose of for sync licensing. So there's some good opportunities out there for those of you that don't know. Sync licensing is basically where a company takes the music that you've composed or produced and they put it out there for advertisers and all different types of media. Now, I am going to keep an eye on the chat today, so that way if you have any questions, definitely let me know. I'm going to be... Oh, appreciate that. Corey's on those links. It's my right-hand man right there. So yeah, everybody say hi to Corey. Hi, Corey, Colormind. But yeah, we're going to be working on this tune for their sync licensing. I say that because the story behind it, just the quick story, okay? So they need to rework this because there's music out there that you can have so many things perfectly in line, and then there's just like a couple things that fall short. And in this case, it was a little bit of clarity, maybe a little bit of over processing, a little bit of over distortion that was occurring on the track and on the vocal. And that was they felt that was hindering its ability to get placed. So I think that's kind of just a really cool thing to learn, that yes, you could have a great song, a great production, and still have certain elements about the quality of it or just the characteristics of it, whether it be over processing or whatnot, that could potentially hinder its ability to be placed where you want it to be placed and make that money, right? Because that's what it's about. So yeah, so what we're looking at today, let's go ahead and take a look at the Ableton session that I have going on here. So it was funny because initially when I spoke to Amir about this project, I was under the impression that it was mainly mastering. I thought it was going to be a 2-track stereo mastering. But what it ended up more really being is stem mastering, stem mixing. Yeah, I guess we could say stem mastering. I mean, sometimes I feel like when we're adding character to something, we consider it a little bit of mixing, but there's been plenty of projects where I've gotten things to master and then it's come off more as, yeah, you're mastering, but you're also adding some of that character. So there's a little bit of a gray area sometimes when we're dealing with stems. So yeah, I feel like Amir passed me the files and he said, look, like this is what I'm looking for and you do you, and I really don't care what we label it at that point. All I know is that this needs to be mastered when it leaves our hands. And as always, we shoot for that sort of 90 to 95% with the streams, meaning that we're going to get the music to about the point where I would say, all right, let me take another listen in the morning and then send it off to these guys and get their opinions. I'm ready for their notes. I've done everything that I feel needs to be done before we get their input. I mean, simply put, when I got people there mixing the initial mix or mastering, it can be a little frustrating sometimes because they like to give their opinions early on in the game when I'm still thinking of other stuff. I'm thinking about EQ. I'm thinking about sometimes certain details that aren't directly related to what they're hearing. They're hearing like, oh, I want to hear more of this on the drums, and I'm not there yet. I'm just kind of like doing my initial gut instinct kind of stuff. So yeah, just basically I'm going to get it to that 95%, right? That's what our job is going to be today. And let's kind of look at what we're doing. And then as always, we're going to take a listen to the pre-master, and then that will allow us kind of introduce us to the song a little bit, and then we'll go from there. All right. So kind of taking a look here. We got our drum stem, we have our bass stem, guitars, got some keys, got some horns, got our lead vocals, and we got a couple sets of background vocals. And that is what we are looking at. Now, what's funny is, and this is kind of, this is one of those things where it's like I'm excited, but I'm also a little nervous because the, one of the unique sort of aspects of this project in particular is there's not really a reference. I mean, when you listen to it, I feel like it's going to be sort of an edgier, like Foster the People, pumped up kicks, like that kind of vibe, that indie kind of vibe, but like with more cojones. So it's basically going to be that, in my opinion, and that's kind of what I'm going to shoot for. And like I said, once we get it to that point where I feel like I can hand it back off to the producers, they'll give me their 2 cents. We may be right on the money, we may be slightly off the mark, or they may be like, look, I need to hire somebody else. I'm kidding. No, but they might be like, hey, we need to give you a reference. Like I just had a project where I mixed it really in sort of a different vibe than what they were going for. And it was just as easy as them giving me another reference to convey what they're going for. And then I was able to go in and get it in the right direction. So, but again, we're going to get to this point. We're going to make them happy. That's all that matters. So let's take a listen to the song. So the song's called Keep It Going. It's produced by DELUXXE. Let's take a listen from beginning to end. Here we go. Beautiful. And we got the fade out already baked into the files. So that is the jam. Keep it going. I put keep it going. Yeah, it's actually the way they called it. So I'm good. I was making sure I wasn't like correcting their grammar or anything. But yeah, so that's the thing. I'm looking in the chat here. Like, it does sound amazing already, right? So what do we do from this point? So I think I lost my train of thought earlier. Just really quick. There's no reference for this. I don't have a specific track that they gave me that said we want it to sound like this. I have I have a previous version that I can reference. That's what's going on up here, which I'm not even going to bring it up, honestly. I just don't want to do it. It's psychologically, I think I'm going to just kind of do my thing, which I've worked with, I've worked on a few projects with these guys, and Amir and I have worked a lot together. So there's, I know what he likes, but at the same time, like, okay, so what am I hearing, right? This is the music has to speak to us. We can't just go into default mode, autopilot, and just do whatever we, whatever we do on everything else, right? This isn't the same way I would approach the project I did 2 days ago. So the stuff that I'm hearing, yes, it already sounds great. The balance is already there, right? The vibe is already there. The performance is amazing. The arrangement is fantastic. You got the horns. You got that guitar, which is totally like that. I forgot who did that jam back in the day, but who's that lady? That jam. That's like, I'm sure that there was a little bit of inspiration there, but that's fantastic. So we got just amazing writing going on here. Amir is the one singing on here, so he's a killer writer. I'm sure Adam helped with the lyrics too. But shout out to like just their personal projects. I got to give them some. Look up Amir with an exclamation point under the I. I'm just gonna bring that up really quick because like, why the hell not? Right? Promote the hell out of these guys. I don't know if Adam has a personal project, so I'm going to apologize to him in advance, but check out Amir's stuff too. Yeah. He's got, actually that's a playlist that I made, but that's how you spell his name. Waste y'all's time figuring out how to use Spotify. There we go. There he is. Yeah. So, killing it. But yeah, check him out. You can look up Adam by name. His last name, I believe, is Palin. So yeah, check those guys out. Obviously, we're pushing DELUXXE today, so let's focus on that. So what am I hearing, right? We got this amazing arrangement. Vibe is there. Balance is even there, right? So what I'm going to do is, so from what I'm hearing, is that there's a little bit of frequency balance stuff that we're going to clean up, okay? And, Isley Brothers. Thanks, Corey. See, he's on that. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna clean up some of the frequency response going on here. More notably, the vocal. I heard some stuff in the background vocals that we're going to be kind of cleaning up a little bit, and then kind of in that low mid, almost like the boxy range, but not quite. More the warmth. And then we're gonna go in and we're going to maybe clear up some of these sounds, like the brass. Like I want to hear a little bit more bite in the brass. And that guitar pops out nicely, maybe in the keys, get a little of that high mid detail in there. So it's those details, right? That I always talk about that. It's those details, the differences between what you all can do just fine. Like so many people can mix. So many people are good at mixing because that's about emotion, right? And actually your comment on the chat about it kind of just sounding great already makes me lean more towards, this is mastering, right? Because in mastering, we deal with really those fine details. In mixing, you got that emotion. You're pushing those boundaries. And we do that sometimes in mastering too, but like in mixing, I expect things to kind of, to almost break. That's where what people do a lot of times in mixing. So a lot of you can mix, and then it's just that last little bit that we sometimes need a helping hand with. So a couple frequency things, and then we're gonna push the loudness, right? We're gonna get that to where they want it in terms of loudness. We'll go for that higher LUFS value, and that's gonna start pushing that, limiting that compression sound a little bit more in the direction that we want. And then there's a little bit of experimentation. I'm gonna play around with some things. And that's, well, like I said, going into this project, it's a little bit of an experimentation, a little bit of that nervousness because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. But the first part, I kind of know what's going to happen, and that's going to be addressing the frequency response stuff. And then we'll see how far we can take it, and then we'll go ahead and chat about what we did, and maybe fine tune a couple things, and we'll see where we're at. All right, everybody's excited. I hope so. I just as a heads up here, I did already add just some light limiting, only because for the stream I wanted to get this thing loud enough so that way everybody doesn't have to crank up their phones, whatever you're listening on. So there's some light limiting going on. Just want to give everybody a heads up about that. I got my dual limiter set up, which is generally what I do. Coincidentally, Amir is the one that turned me on to that. So shout out to him. Yeah, definitely the double limiter. I got the super fast release time on both limiters. I normally start like that, like lately with the louder stuff. Everything I'm working on is like loud, at least lately. So I'm using this IRC4 transient, specifically the transient algorithm on both of them. It just helps with that. It gives it a little bit of that push. Helps emphasize the transient, hence the name transient. It's almost like a little bit of a sidechain feel, but not quite. And then the fast release time just kind of makes things pop. And yeah, shooting for that -1 true peak value as always. And I believe my LUFS currently is somewhere around, I don't know, let's see, probably like let's see. I mean, we're already hitting between -10 and -9. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be hard to get this loud because we're already sitting at -9 and I haven't even done like my frequency balance stuff yet. So I'm going to get that addressed, and then we're going to push that level, and we'll probably be able to get this thing slamming. I got a good feeling about it. Good feeling. All right, let's go ahead and get started. A couple things I neglected to do, shame on me, is I'm going to go ahead and just subgroup my instrumental really quick. That's something that I like to do. It kind of helps me visualize, and if I need to treat anything in terms of acapella versus instrumental, it definitely helps. Call it acapella or Vox or whatever. And at the end, they're generally going to want certain deliverables with this kind of stuff. So we're going to need to bounce them out in instrumental and maybe an acapella, but it's all right there in case we need it, right? I could just mute the acapella, bounce it out, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to go through some of this stuff one at a time because I'm going to listen to some of that frequency response stuff. I'm going to be using a couple different EQs today. I think I'm going to stick with, I've been experimenting with this API EQ a lot lately by Plugin Alliance. So don't worry, Slate, I'm not moving away from you completely. I am going to use the Infinity EQ in hopes that it doesn't crash. If it does crash, I may have to break up with Slate. So we'll see. I'm just going to do a lot of Command S, make sure we're saving frequently. And then, I may or may not experiment with the binaural stuff. Let's see what happens. I'm not trying to go too far from what these guys have already as a vibe. So we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
hard work, hard work. Well, it's tough to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark and reset and restart, we can take those chains right off of your heart. Hard work, hard work. Well, it's tough to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark and reset and restart, we can take all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark and reset and restart, we can take those chains right off of your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall. All that you see is the fall. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Oh baby, keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got.
Sorry about that. Had my gain up on my OTT.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Oh baby, time is slowing down for no one. So maybe, 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 maybe we should hurry, get a move on, move on. And it's tough to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark, light it up with your spark. We can take those chains right off of your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. slowing down for no one. So maybe, 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 maybe I should hurry, get a move on, move on. And it's tough to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark, light it up with your spark. We can take those chains right off of your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Life's a little crazy, crazy. It's a whole lot of hard work. Well, it's tough to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark and we set and restart, we can take those chains right off of your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off, give it everything you got. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off, give it everything you got. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off, give it everything you got. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby. You gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything, baby. You gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything you got. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby. You gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything you gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby. Baby, you gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything you got. Hey, baby, you gotta keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything you got. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take a little bit of an ear break here and kind of talk about a couple things. Woo! So I'm looking, just looking at the chat here really quick. Let me save. Let's see. What am I thinking about listening for when applying compression to the master chain? So yeah, so you might not actually see me doing a lot of compression on the stems, right? I'm doing more frequency-related stuff on the stems. I think I'm doing all frequency-related stuff on the stems. The well, I'm listening for things that I like and that I don't like. So for example, with the Shadow Hills, I think I ended up bypassing that, completely, because what I'll do is I'll turn it on and I'll slam it and I'll listen for like what quality I like of that, whether it's, a lot of times with the Shadow Hill, it's like you get a nice punch on the front end. It was a little too pumpy for me. I guess I could try slowing down the release time a little bit and seeing if that will give me a little bit more transparency. But that's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for a quality that I can blend in using the parallel compression or the mix wet dry to get that. Yeah, exactly. And Supercharger, I think I wanted to experiment a little bit with that. Actually, I might do that right now. But that, for in terms of hearing things that I like when I'm limiting, I'm turning up the limiter and I am trying to obviously get a certain loudness, but I start hearing certain negative things. Like if I start hearing distortion mainly with the limiting, I know that I probably pushed it a little too far. And when I confirm that with my LUFS, I saw, I was hitting like -5, which is like, that's where we want to be, but maybe even a little over. I think last time Amir and I had a conversation about one of his projects. He was okay with -6. So what's cool is that means that we've already gotten to our target loudness and we could back it off a little bit on the limiter. So that's an example of hearing kind of the negative stuff. The Shadow Hills was doing too much to the drums in the beginning. I didn't like what that was doing. MOTT is sort of a multi-band exciter, if you will. That I was just looking to not make things too piercing. In fact, I could probably add a little bit more of this right now. Let's see what this does in the chorus. I'm actually going to back it off a little bit. The vocals are starting to get a little too bitey in the high mids. But that's mainly what I'm listening for. Added some tape saturation, which was kind of nice. This guy here, I use this to kind of like experiment with the center impact. So I'm using mid-side compression here. So I'm in mid-side mode. I unlink this two sides, so that way the mid channel is the top, the sides are the bottom, and then just kind of experiment, right? So I try pushing it. I actually like it a lot more now than I did before, because I did other things to sort of compensate for what artifacts I was hearing when I was pushing the compression. I was hearing distortion, I was hearing a buildup in the low mids, all those things I addressed. So now pushing this a little bit more actually sounds pretty nice. So as I'm pushing the mix wet dry up to 100%, closer to 100%, we're hearing more of the result of what I'm doing. So you're hearing that center image become more glued together. And I'll put it at 0 and then kind of find a sweet spot here that I like. Now I am at the loudest part of the track, so I can hear like what the most is going to occur with the compression, right? Not the quietest parts of the song, but the louder part. Now this is a genre where we can get away with some grit. There's I like using the word, like there's a tolerance for that. There's an acceptance of that slightly distorted, slightly overdriven vibe that we don't say get with some pop music and maybe other genres that are a little bit lighter than pop music, or maybe like lo-fi. Lo-fi we can get away with it. It's lo-fi. But there might also be a certain prettiness that you want to get with something that would not call for that type of distortion. So in this case, like I'm sort of walking that fine line. I'm almost at the point where it's like, okay, I could play around with this. I could play around with this for another hour. But do I address the things that I feel need to be done, and then am I now ready to get their feedback? Because again, like I could be completely off the mark. I don't have a reference, which is fine. There's not like a hard deadline on this and anything, so we have the time to experiment. But I've done what I've almost done what I wanted to do. I want to experiment with a couple more things, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So I do, now that I mentioned it, let me play around with Supercharger really quick and with the another setting on the Shadow Hills, and let's see where we land. Actually, I kind of love it, honestly. There's some stuff you just experiment with, you know, like let me push up the saturation.
Keep it going, keep it going, till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, everything you got. Keep it going, oh baby, you gotta keep going, keep going, everything you got. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby.
Yeah, you know, they might love it. I don't know. But let me try slowing down the release time on this a little bit. Let's see what we got here. We got our attack. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to speed up my attack. I'm going to slow down my release, and I'm going to slam this thing and hear what it does.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, everything you got. Keep it going, oh baby, you gotta keep going, keep going, everything you got. Every little thing that you got, every little thing that you got, baby.
There we go.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, everything you got. Keep it going, oh baby, you gotta keep going, keep going, everything you got.
And actually, it tightens it up real nice. This Shadow Hills is magic when you get it to sing. You know, compression, as we talk about on here a lot, the compression is going to lower the volume, right? That's ultimately what compression does. It's an amplifier that reduces its output. So as I'm compressing it, the volume's getting quieter. Well, what happens when the volume gets quieter? Well, that's the looming, you know, oh, what is this going to sound good or not? Like, that is the answer right there. And yes, this does a cool sort of glue thing to the whole track that I really like. But it's also reducing its volume. And as I'm introducing the mix wet dry, see, I'd have to make up that gain here to get that volume reduction to go away. But I like how it's responding to the limiter. Okay, you know, it's an alternative to me having to go here and raise the threshold to do that. So I'm sort of hitting the limiter a little less hard by introducing this quieter output circuit, which is kind of nice. So I like that, and I'm hitting just as high, just as hot as a LUFS as I need to be hitting. You know, it sounds like everything kind of sounds like it's just working together, which is beautiful. There's some frequency things that we're going to talk about here that I've been sort of struggling with, that I feel like this compression chain here, this supercharger, kind of helps a little bit. And you know, there's a mix wet dry 50%. And yeah, I think I'm actually feeling much better now than before I jumped on the mic here. So that's kind of a cool thing, right? Let's take a little listen, and then we'll talk about some of the other stuff we did.
Oh man, I'm just gonna keep it going. Oh baby.
So again, check out these horns. They can pop. Let's see what a little saturation does on these.
Oh baby.
Let's see. And you're welcome. boxy in there, so I'm gonna pull some of that low mid out. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I mean, we could go bigger with the horns for sure, if that was the vibe they were going for. Yeah, which I'm pretty sure they are. Let's experiment with that just for 1 sec here. Let's bring up the Valhalla room. Let's put it before the compressor so it excites that reverb. Let's see what happens. I don't want to reinvent the wheel on their project though. That's the thing. I got to be careful with that. So they might be like, yeah, we hate that reverb, but you never know. They might like it if it's introduced in a way that doesn't, impose too much on the vibe of what they're going for. Could also be the wrong kind of reverb. Might want to go with like the vintage verb. I'm not like super impressed. Let's try let's see, I got some coloration stuff here. Let's go with, I'm gonna try a different type of saturation. It's kind of nice. There's a thing though when the horns go to the lower register, they're really like hitting this mid-range stuff, and that's probably just in the programming. I don't think those are real horns. So let's go ahead and let's pop this on here, find that mid-range, and see if we can control it a little bit. So it's right here. We might not miss that if we do. See, it also takes away the meat, of the higher notes. So what I'm going to do is turn on this dynamic EQ, see if we can tame that a little bit. Let's bring back the volume because it's one thing I got to check is I got to make sure I'm not going too far off from what the original intent was here. So I'm going to group these, bypass them. Let's hear the original volume. Make sure we're not too far off. I'm much louder than it was originally, so let's pull that back. Yeah, I think that kind of adds a nice sense of realism to it, a little bit of dimension. But let's go ahead and start talking through some of these points. Like I said, we could experiment with this stuff for a while, but you can see what I'm doing. There's, with these sounds, I think because we're on this stream, we can be sort of transparent about things because a lot of you are here to learn, and this track to me poses some beautiful obstacles, because we talked about in the beginning how we don't have a reference, except for just what I know, right? I know that they want energy, they want the clarity. I would almost call it like a dirty pop indie thing, right? Like that's what we're going for here. And in my head there's a blueprint of a certain like frequency response and size and impact, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for, right? Within the limitations of the tracks. We always have to remember that if we start breaking the music, right? If we start pushing things so hard that they break and it's not in line with what the producer or the artist is looking for, like we're gonna lose their interest. They're gonna be like, yeah, this is just weird, and I don't want to do that, right? So within the confines of the music that we get, we have to fit it into that window that we envision it to be, in hopes to help serve their vision, and without in the case of not having a reference, it's a little bit more guessing on my part. But some of the challenges in terms of frequency response, I'll show you how I addressed them. The drums are pretty boomy, but that's it's okay, right? It's okay to be. It's okay. It's emotion, right? Fuck it. It's emotion, right? We definitely want that to push, so that way we feel it. But on a technical side, there's some low mid activity in there. Now on this console plugin, you see me hitting this one button a lot. I'm not going to do it now because it randomizes these channels here. So it gives me there's 72 unique character channels, if that makes sense. So they basically, like impulse response, 72 different channels from a console, and then put them on this plugin so I can hear sort of a unique character across all 72 channels. And when I hit this button here, it randomizes the channel that it's on. So the very first thing I do when I bring up the plugin is hit that button to randomize the channel, and then that sort of just adds a little. It's not a X factor or anything, but it does add a little bit of depth to the music, because we do have those slight characteristic changes from instance to instance of this plugin, and then the more you use it, the more you're going to get sort of the unique character of it. So for me, I'm doing EQ. That is going to add some of that unique character that I'm talking about. So anyway, that's why you see me doing that. But let's see what we got here. So we got some activity here around the 180, 190. I'm pulling some of that out. It's just a little boomy. And then I'm adding some mid-range here in hopes to add some of that energy in another place. In this case, I was turning it up too much. I hear too much of the boxiness of like the claps and stuff. So I'm finding a sweet spot where I can boost just a little bit of that character. It's almost like putting a lens into focus of a camera to me. So it's making something pop that serves the music. So I like that. And that's all I did, right? So I'm addressing a little bit of an abundance of something, and I'm trying to add something back to give it a little bit something special. This is another kind of attempt to control some of that boominess. Looks like I'm in about the 80 hertz range. Yeah, 79 hertz. So we got 79, we got 190. Those are almost like an octave apart, 80 and 160. So it could be that I'm hearing octaves of that. But nonetheless, we have, if I turn both these off, check it out. Let me just group these. Here's off. I don't necessarily hate it. So, you hear it kind of tighten up a little bit when I turn stuff on. Again, not trying to reinvent the wheel here, right? We're trying to keep the vibe that they have going. I don't want to lose the beefiness there. But might add a little bit of that back depending on what they like. Oh, just to kind of clarify here, we do have a mid-side EQ here, so I'll explain it once, and then we'll kind of just understand moving forward what that means. Mid-side, right? You're breaking the stereo image up into middle and sides, or mono and wides. That's basically what that means. And then we now have the ability to EQ out just out of the middle, which introduces a sense of depth. It's like chiseling out a little piece of a mountain, right? And you get that hole. But you're retaining the information on the sides. You're not just chiseling out the whole the height of the mountain at that point across the whole mountain. You're just doing one point in the middle, which gives us that, in the sense of music, we hear depth, which is really nice. So I'm getting some depth as I'm controlling this muddiness, in the assumption that we're not getting a lot of that crazy energy on the sides, more in that mono center information of the drum. So that's why you see me use mid-side a lot. You see a little dip there in the other color. That's taking a little out of the sides, but not as much as I am in the mid. That's why the lines are offset like that. So just the offset itself is going to help with that depth. But yeah, so EQing mid and side channel separately. I have a high pass filter just on the sides, which, in an attempt to control the energy that we have floating around in the drums, that low energy eats up limiting, and it eats up clarity in the bass, especially on big systems. It eats up, like I said, energy with the limiter, and just it makes the loudness factor get a little nastier when it's floating around. So I'm doing it just on the side, so opposite, right? Instead of doing it in the middle, I'm actually rolling off that information on the sides, trying not to make things sound too mono, because if I did that all the way, right, like all the way here, I would then have a completely mono drum kit, and we definitely don't want that. We're just trying to control. We don't want to give the appearance that we're narrowing the drums. We want to retain that sense of size while we try to clean things up. All right, and then just a little bit more of that control right here. Look at the frequency we got. Looks like we're shooting at about, so it's all about the same, right? 80, 90. So just like the 80 over here in the Infinity EQ. But we're doing dynamic here because my thought here is that the frequency that's moving around there, it's just that, right? It's movement. It's dynamic. So I'm sort of, this is being set so that it moves with the music. It's not just a cut or a dip in the music that's just stagnant. It actually, there's a little bit of a dip, but then it's moving. So when that frequency hits a little hotter or harder, it's going to reduce that frequency a little bit as a result. So cool stuff. But yeah, if we take both of these off, or all three of these off completely, we should hear a pretty big difference. So this is on, and here's off. Yeah. On. Yeah, so it cleans it up. Am I killing the vibe too much? We'll see. All right, bass. Really big sounding bass. Definitely got some like a room verb on there or something. But we can see that we have, let's see what we got going on here. I'm adding some of that same frequency that we added to the drums to give it just a little bit of that tone. Excuse me. Again, trying to reduce some of the muddiness. There's a little bit of that same type of muddiness that I'm reducing, not the same amount, but by a certain amount to help balance those frequencies in the bass, to create some clarity on the bottom end, a little bit of control with those low frequencies. This is without it. Yeah, so it's just a little bit of control. It's not, we're not doing something to transform the sound. We're just controlling frequencies. Let me try something here on the bottom end. Yeah, I'm just taking a little of that low stuff out. Just bouncing it back a little bit. It's mechanical stuff. It's not something that sounds musical to me or part of the bass. It's like, they're hitting the string and it's just rumble from the string. So I'm trying to back some of that off. But Infinity EQ, clearly we have a stereo bass happening here. We got stereo information, so mid-side EQ again is going to help. Look, I'm almost at the exact same frequency. It's going to help balance some of that stuff back, and then it's going to help add that depth as well. Now, mind you, we're hearing, as I'm doing these, turn on and off, we're hearing the EQ on the master bus. I mean, we have EQ, compression, like all that stuff. Even on the master bus, I added, check this out, I added a little bit of this low mid back, okay? Understand, if you haven't been to one of my streams yet where we've explained this, that I'm balancing frequencies between instruments, right? With the kick, with the drums, with the bass. But then we can add that stuff back in a balanced version of the instrumentation, right? So instead of adding it to an unbalanced version, which will emphasize negative stuff, emphasize lack of clarity, emphasize out of control energy, right? We try to control that energy or balance that energy, and then as a balanced thing, we can now add that back in. So that's my general approach when it comes to mixing and mastering, at least when I have the option to control individual elements like this. Guitar, I don't think we needed much. Yeah, I listened. I was like, you know what? This sounds great. Keys, same deal. Nothing needed. Horns, we already talked about the horns. We'll see how they like those. Acapella, this was the hardest for me. I ended up having to split the chorus, or I guess we could explain it more as like the verse and bridge vocals just on their own track. So I split the audio, duplicated the track, put it on its own thing. But initially, I remember I did try to take some of this low-mid information out, control some of it. There's a lot going on down there.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off, give it everything you got.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's just the background vocals to me sound, I don't know if it's necessarily or specifically the backgrounds.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going. Take those chains right.
Yeah, it's,
keep it going, keep it going.
yeah, like if I go in here and just pull up that Infinity EQ, I'm gonna do Command S because I just don't. This Slate stuff's been really buggy lately. Sorry, Slate.
Keep it going, keep it going.
You can see the spike on the analyzer.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah, I don't want to lose the body of it. If I do too much of it, I take out. Sometimes you can add some of that back on like a little bit higher frequency.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Nah.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Let's try just middle.
Keep it going, keep it going.
It's actually kind of nice.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going.
Without it.
Keep it going, keep it. Keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah, actually it adds a nice little focus to it. Let's hear it with the lead.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah, you saw it here first. I like it. But there's a vibe to his vocal that's got a there's a vibe with the tone that I don't want to kill, because you may have heard when I was trying to do too much of that, I was thinning things out too much. So we don't want to thin out his voice for the sake of balancing frequencies, but maybe there's something we can add to compensate for what we're balancing back, potentially, right? But I think there's a lot going on here with reverb. It's already baked into the tracks that may be adding to some of that, but it's all good. Like I don't want him to re-record stuff or rebound stuff. We just got to find a balance. We got to find a sweet spot where it doesn't impose anything on the quality of the product, and that way it still retains the emotion that they intended. So we'll take just like a 30-second break here real quick. I got to check on one thing and then we'll be right back. Let me just address this question here. Let's see. When splitting tracks for the different sections, do you ever run into issues with fades? Not so much. I mean, I'm normally splitting them at silent points. You can see that if you look where I'm splitting this stuff. Looks like, yeah, Ableton does sort of an automatic fade here. So I don't hear any artifacts. If I hear something that sounds bad, I'll definitely address it. But, I just listen, make sure there's nothing weird that happens there. But yeah, Ableton does these fades automatically for me. Yeah, it's cross-fading into silence, which is basically a fade. And that does the trick for me. So I guess if I was in Pro Tools, and I would have to address that manually. But yeah, you saw it here. We basically helped tame some of that mid-range. Don't want to kill the vibe of his voice. I'm pretty happy with the way that sounds. We'll see if he is, right? Now on the acapella, I know I started with initially doing this sort of hard cut. There's your mid side, right? Adding that depth. It's stereo information, so like why just slice into it, without taking into account that there's mono and stereo information there. Here's sort of there's 380 being bounced back a little bit, adding some of this, looks like 1 to 2K, somewhere around there, just to give it a little bit of clarity. Again, it's like focusing the lens on the camera. And yeah, that's what's going on the acapella. On the verse vocal, probably just doing a little bit. Let's see. Looks like I'm adding something around now. Don't get deceived here. You notice this is only 0.5 dB. This is not like a ton. And what you've seen me do today is boosting and hearing what kind of sounds nice, and then pulling it back to what sounds like it's not overbearing. So that's kind of my approach generally to doing that. So that felt nice, even though it was just 0.5 dB. It's something, and it definitely makes a difference. Looks like I'm not doing. I probably started doing like a little bit of a reduction here, and then just kind of put it back to negative 0.1. We'll just say that's mainly 0. Oh, definitely didn't mean to do that. There we go. Cool. So yeah, just minimal stuff happening on the lead. That's why I split it, right? When I split things, it's because I don't want what I'm doing here to affect what's happening here, because this needed more processing. So now I'm over processing this for what? I also realized that I have my background vocals for the bridge and the verse grouped here. Let's just make sure that's not doing anything bad.
Take those chains right up for your heart. Love to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to leave it as is. I mean, if it was really a big deal, I could basically just, split this off, put it so that it's not part of the chorus group, and then just copy and paste this information onto here. So that it's, there we go. Now I'm more organized. You're proud of me, I know. All right, let's see.
Love to remember, keep dreaming when all that you see is the fall.
Now, I did do something that I think is pretty cool. Let's go to the chorus.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got.
So I have an EQ turned on. Really, it's potentially a channel strip, but I just have an EQ on here. That's what this little grouped button is. It's a bypass. You'll notice that I went through and I just saw like, okay, the chorus is from here to here, so I just have it on there, off in the verses, off in the bridge, and then on for the chorus to the end. So basically, I'm just EQing the chorus in the instrumental. So this is on my instrumental subgroup, right?
Keep it going, keep it going.
Because everything that I was doing sounded great in the verses, but then when the chorus came in, it was like, I really want this to be a little bit more clear. And why not, right? Let's put an EQ. Now, I did this just in the mid channel. That's where, actually, wait. Hold up. Interesting. Hold on. I might have made a mistake here. It actually sounds fine, but I thought I was doing something completely different. Let me just double check this.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Take those chains right up for your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going.
Yeah, so the idea here is that I looks like I thought I was EQing the mid channel, but I was EQing the side channel, but at the time it sounded fine. But yeah, the goal here was to help clear up some more of that drum energy. I might do a little bit more here in the verse. Yeah. Because it's definitely there in the verse, but it might be better to do globally. Let's turn this off and see. Turn off the automation and let's see what it sounds like.
Hard work, hard work. Keep it going, keep it going. Till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got.
Yeah, I don't mind it, honestly. I'm actually gonna kill this automation. Yeah. Delete automation. I'm gonna leave that on. Now this has like this cool scale thing where you can just do like a wet dry the EQ. So I just pulled that back a little bit, so it's just a little balance. But I like it. Yeah, I think a lot of that compression stuff we did really helped. Sometimes what I do is I'll add a little, like I might add a little EQ just to this section, but maybe not this particular EQ. It might be something that's a little bit more like enhancing. So for example, let me think about this for a sec. Let's go ahead and do, now of course I'm second guessing my change in automation there, but it's all good. So yeah, I'm gonna just ungroup this. I don't need that to be grouped anymore. I'm going to group this mainly because it could turn into a whole channel strip. Now I'm regretting turning off my automation. That's okay. So there's my device on off. Just basically look at where got the chorus in the beginning. Got that pickup note there. Can't forget that. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's on the and a 3. Chorus. Here's that verse. Good thing I put a marker there. Here's our chorus again. And then there's our bridge. Okay, so the idea here is I'm going to
keep it going, till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got.
So I'm just going to change the vibe just a little bit with this EQ. I like that a lot.
Life's a little crazy, crazy. It's a whole lot of hard work. Well, it's tough to remember, keep dreaming, when all that you see is the fall. If the hour gets dark and we set and restart, we can take those chains right off of your heart and keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going.
Listen to the end. So there is something happening there with the fade out that's kind of weird. That's what happens when you get fade outs baked onto the tracks. You hear how the instruments kind of unnaturally dissipate. It doesn't sound like a fade out. See how the horns just like pop out there all of a sudden? So yeah, so we got to either compensate for that somehow with the horns. So I'm just going to throw a little gain plug in on here. Yes, the fade out matters. Yeah, so right about there, the horns are definitely too much. Yeah, like the drums kind of get lost a little bit too, right? Like just they fade out very quickly. That could be what they wanted, but I'm gonna just go with my gut here, and just let's try to bring this up just a little bit. Counter the fade out. Yeah, it gets pretty thin. Yeah, now the vocals are a little full. Yeah, so these details actually are a big part of mastering. Now I don't like what we did with the drums. Let's fix that. Right, so the guitar's just a little bit lingering there. I'm gonna just put one more little fade there. And the piano's kind of lingering. I mean, honestly, it might just be a matter of now that we've sort of cleaned up the individual characteristics of everything, like maybe now just go in and fade the master out a little bit sooner, so that way it's a little bit less obvious. Yeah, so we'll see. And I don't know if they're super obsessed with the fade out. They might be like, whatever, whatever works. But definitely want to make sure that's just not awkward. And again, like that's a result of the volume being reduced underneath all the limiting and everything that we're doing. So that's why it's good to let your local mastering engineer do the fade out for you. That's just something to keep in mind, folks. But otherwise, they're professionals. We do things sometimes because that's what's on the track. Especially if the fade out is on the master of their mix session, right? Because if they're bouncing their stems out, the fade out is gonna be in there as well. So it's all good. We'll work with it, and this is about where I'm gonna probably stop because I think at this point we're basically doing fine-tuning things that aren't gonna make or break whether or not they feel like it's working. So I got across what I wanted to get across. I got some control the things I want to get control of. It's kind of my interpretation of this sort of big indie pop kind of vibe, and we got I got the clarity that I wanted to get, like I can hear everything. I got the impact that I'm looking for. And now we're going to see if it works for them, because again, we don't have a reference to necessarily guide us to that. So we'll see what happens. So I will probably take a listen tomorrow morning and see where we're at with this, and then and then make a couple fine adjustments and then send that off, and then get notes from them. Let's look at the question here in the chat. Could you talk a little bit more about why? Well, why -6 LUFS? So, if we go to the chorus and we look at the LUFS that we're at right now currently, let's see. there about.
till the wheels fall off. Give it everything you got. Keep it going, everything you got. Keep it going.
Sorry, I'm just hearing a little bit of, let me just pull back the high mids just a little bit on this guy.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going.
So yeah, I mean, the LUFS that we're looking for is just I hate to use the word competitive loudness because it's not about that, but Amir specifically used to get his tracks probably above -6. I don't know. We used to shoot for, -6 is loud by traditional standards. By modern standards, it might be the standard, honestly. -8 just seems to be too quiet for a lot of people. -7 is still just a little too quiet. -6 is like right about right. And then like -5, -4, if you can get it there and it sounds good, then awesome. So, I think we realize that at a point we are sacrificing some quality to get to that extra, that -5, that -4 is crazy, but I've gotten some things at -4, but that's crazy. Crazy in a good way, like, haha, crazy. I'm okay with it, kind of crazy, but, -4 is pretty crazy. -5 is pretty, -5 is still pretty standard with a lot of the stuff that I work on. But -6 is like that point where I think we feel that we don't necessarily sacrifice quality, meaning that we're getting unnecessary amounts of distortion, stuff that we don't feel like has to be there, if that makes sense. It's like if you can get it there, the streaming services are going to turn you down by X amount of LUFS because of loudness normalization. That's for a whole nother stream, folks. But I definitely... I can attest to, yes, I master anywhere between -7 and -4. It's rare that I let anything out of my computer that's a -8. And, there's a lot of pro level mastering engineers out there that will agree with me that it just doesn't, the demand of the loudness is the demand. It's not the streaming services are going to do this. Everybody has either sound check turned on or loudness normalization turned on. It's just not something that we really care about. And there's also a lot of high level professionals on the other side of the spectrum on that conversation. So I can't say that one is necessarily correct or not, but it's the knowledge of what happens when you get that level of loudness that will put you into the category of having that. Well, how do I put this? If you're going to master, you want to be able to understand the medium in which you're mastering for, right? And understanding whether it's sending stuff to be downloaded and purchased off of Apple Music, or whether it's to be streamed off of Apple Music or Spotify or Tidal, right? Understanding that, yes, there's a penalty, quote unquote, that occurs when you master things at a certain loudness. Has that ever been a detriment to a project? Not to my knowledge, but everybody from Lizzo to Anderson .Paak to Beyonce to Diplo to all these big artists, they're all getting their stuff mastered loud. Ariana Grande, then you got your gospel artists, they're all mastering loud. You bring up one of their masters, you're going to see something that's integrated -8, short term -6. That's again for a whole nother conversation. But so anyway, that was my long-winded response of me just saying in summary here. We had that conversation. We understand the negative consequences, if you will, the consequences of having things louder than -6. If we get it there, cool. He might ask for it slightly louder, but from my understanding, my conversations with him, he'll be comfortable with -6. But as we just saw, we were hitting close to -5, and I'm not going to touch it because I like the way it sounds, and I'm ready to get their notes. But I appreciate you sitting through that with me, that response, because it is a gray area still that we're dealing with. It's not something that we have set in stone. You got plenty of people posting about this is why loudness normalization it should be considered. This is why loudness normalization should be ignored, because labels want me to do this and they don't care about this. Whereas these people are like, we care about this because loudness is not something that we should be worried about. And they're saying, well, yes, it is. So it's like, you got to just know where your music's going, understand the consequences of your actions, and just roll with it. But again, with me, I rarely let anything out of the door no any quieter than -7. So I appreciate all of you. I'll just open the floor for any last minute questions. Just kind of peeking at the chat here. If you have any last minute questions, let me know. Otherwise, you are all welcome to at any point reach out. Hit me up. Like I said, if you haven't followed the channel yet, please do so. Tell your friends. Anybody that wants to learn this stuff. You can see clearly that I'm totally cool to sit here and chat with you about stuff. We can always go as deep as you want to into the subject. So let people know, your producer friends, your colleagues, your teammates. Let them know. Let's all make some music together, learn something together, and definitely, as I mentioned, check out. Let me go ahead and back here. Check out DELUXXE. Check out Amir. Check out DELUXXE's stuff. Check out my website if you get a chance at markbarriemusic.com. Check out Corey's website, colormindmusic.com. Definitely check out his YouTube channel. We post stuff up on there. We put archives up on there of these streams. But you'll also see them archived on Twitch for about 2 weeks. So when they're gone, you can check them out on the Colormind YouTube channel to keep it going, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, reach out to us on Instagram. I'll post our handles here in just a sec. You can definitely ask us questions, Definitely happy to chat whenever. I write people's short novels about mixing when they ask me questions on my DM. So, hit us up on there. Ask us questions if you want to work. Hit us up. But yeah, super, super appreciative of everybody that came out tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I love doing this for you all. Let's keep it going. I'll see you next Monday, same time, new song. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And let's chat again soon. Everybody, keep making great music. Take care. Peace. Have a good night.